Have you ever wondered if there are miracles attributed to Jesus that didn't make it into the Bible we read today? Imagine stories so profound and mysterious that they were omitted from the canonical Gospels. Today, we're going to delve into one such intriguing possibility, a lost miracle of Jesus that has remained hidden in the shadows of history. But before we embark on this fascinating journey into the past, if you're passionate about uncovering hidden truths and exploring the depths of ancient mysteries, make sure to subscribe to our channel and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us bring more enlightening content to inquisitive minds like yours. Now, let's set the stage for our exploration. In the early centuries following Jesus' life, the world was a tapestry of diverse beliefs, philosophies, and emerging Christian communities. The four Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John eventually became the cornerstone of the New Testament, but they weren't the only accounts of Jesus' life circulating at the time. Numerous other texts, often referred to as apocryphal Gospels, were written by various authors, each offering unique perspectives and stories about Jesus. These apocryphal writings include texts like the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Peter, and the Infancy Gospel of James, among others. They contain a rich array of narratives, some that mirror the canonical Gospels closely, and others that diverge in significant ways. The reasons these texts were excluded from the official canon are complex, involving theological debates, questions of authorship, and the early church's efforts to establish a unified doctrine. Imagine a time when Christianity was still in its formative years, without a standardized set of scriptures. Communities scattered across the Mediterranean and beyond held on to different teachings and writings. In this milieu, stories about Jesus' miracles were not just spiritual accounts but also tools for teaching and inspiring faith among believers. Some of these stories, while cherished by certain groups, didn't align with the theological views that would eventually define mainstream Christianity. One such miracle we're exploring today offers a glimpse into these alternative narratives. It's a story that, while not included in the New Testament, provides a unique perspective on Jesus' life and the way early followers understood his divine nature. This tale has been preserved in fragments and references found in historical texts, intriguing scholars and theologians alike. The process of forming the biblical canon was anything but straightforward. It spanned several centuries, involving councils, debates, and the careful weighing of numerous writings. Church leaders sought texts that were apostolic in origin, widely accepted among Christian communities, and consistent in theological teachings. Texts that didn't meet these criteria were set aside, often labeled as heretical or non-authoritative. However, the exclusion of these writings doesn't necessarily diminish their historical or spiritual value. They offer us a window into the diversity of early Christian thought and the myriad ways people related to Jesus and his message. By examining these texts, we can gain a deeper understanding of the cultural and religious context of the time. Consider, for instance, the Gospel of Thomas, a collection of sayings attributed to Jesus that emphasizes personal spiritual knowledge over established doctrine. Or the Infancy Gospel of Thomas, which depicts Jesus' childhood and portrays miracles not found in the canonical Gospels. These writings show us that early Christianity was a vibrant and multifaceted movement with a rich diversity of beliefs and practices. The miracle we're focusing on today is one that has sparked much debate and curiosity. It's a story that challenges conventional narratives and invites us to rethink our understanding of Jesus' ministry. As we delve into this tale, we'll explore not only the story itself but also the reasons it might have been left out of the canonical Gospels. We'll consider the theological implications, the historical context, and what this narrative reveals about the beliefs and values of early Christian communities. This exploration isn't just about uncovering a forgotten story, it's about appreciating the richness and complexity of Christian history. It's a reminder that faith traditions are shaped by countless voices and experiences, some of which have been overshadowed by the dominant narratives. By examining these lesser-known accounts, we open ourselves to a broader perspective on spirituality and history. We begin to see how the early followers of Jesus grappled with his teachings and how they sought to make sense of his life and message in a rapidly changing world. In the coming moments, we'll piece together the fragments of this lost miracle, drawing from ancient texts and scholarly research. We'll delve into the story's origins, its significance, and the insights it offers into the nature of Jesus' ministry and the development of early Christian thought. As we embark on this journey, I invite you to keep an open mind and consider the myriad ways in which stories shape our understanding of the world. Whether you're a believer, a historian, or simply someone fascinated by ancient mysteries, there's much to discover and reflect upon. So let's immerse ourselves in this captivating tale, uncovering the layers of history, theology, and human experience that surround this lost miracle of Jesus. Together, we'll explore the depths of a story that has remained hidden for centuries, shedding light on a facet of history that continues to intrigue and inspire. Turning our focus to the heart of this intriguing tale, we delve into the Infancy Gospel of Thomas, an apocryphal text that offers a rare glimpse into the childhood of Jesus. Unlike the canonical Gospels, which largely commence with Jesus' ministry as an adult, this Gospel presents narratives of his early years, filled with extraordinary events and miracles not found in the New Testament. One of the most captivating stories from the Infancy Gospel of Thomas recounts a moment when the young Jesus, merely a child, showcases an astounding display of divine power. According to the narrative, Jesus was playing by a stream on the Sabbath day, fashioning small sparrows out of clay. This innocent act of creativity was soon met with disapproval from a bystander who reported him to Joseph, accusing Jesus of violating the Sabbath by molding clay. Confronted by Joseph, Jesus clapped his hands and commanded the clay birds to come to life. Miraculously, the sparrows transformed, took flight, and flew away chirping. This miracle is profound not only for its supernatural element, but also for its rich symbolism. The act of creating life from clay harkens back to the Genesis account, where God forms Adam from the dust of the earth. In this light, young Jesus mirrors the divine act of creation, emphasizing his inherent divinity even in childhood. The sparrows, often symbols of freedom and the soul in flight, represent the breath of life and the spirit's liberation. By bringing the clay birds to life, Jesus demonstrates mastery over creation and life itself, reinforcing the concept of him as the Word made flesh through whom all things were made. Analyzing this miracle alongside those documented in the canonical Gospels, we observe both parallels and distinctions. In the New Testament, Jesus performs miracles that reveal his compassion and authority, healing the sick, feeding the multitudes, calming storms, and raising the dead. These acts serve specific purposes, alleviating suffering, demonstrating divine power, and fulfilling prophecies. The miracle of the clay birds similarly showcases divine power but does so through the actions of a child engaging in play. It highlights a more personal and intimate aspect of Jesus' nature, portraying him as both divine and endearingly human. However, the depiction of Jesus as a child wielding such power raises theological questions. The canonical Gospels portray Jesus' miracles as deliberate and purposeful, often accompanied by teachings or signs pointing to the kingdom of God. In contrast, the miracle of the clay birds seems spontaneous, almost whimsical. This portrayal can challenge traditional understandings of Jesus' awareness of his mission and the appropriate use of his divine abilities. Exploring reasons why this miracle and the Infancy Gospel of Thomas were excluded from the New Testament, we turn to the criteria of canonization employed by the early Church. Church leaders sought to establish a set of texts that were apostolic in origin, widely accepted by the Christian community, and consistent in doctrine. The authorship of the Infancy Gospel of Thomas is uncertain, with scholars dating it to the 2nd century, well after the apostles had passed. Its late composition and lack of direct apostolic connection likely contributed to its exclusion. Additionally, the early Church was cautious about the content of texts included in the canon, aiming for theological consistency and the edification of believers. The theological controversies of the time included debates over the nature of Jesus, his divinity and humanity, and how these aspects coexisted. Stories depicting a young Jesus performing miracles could complicate these discussions, especially if they suggested he acted out of caprice or lacked the maturity associated with his divine mission. There were also concerns about how such narratives could be misinterpreted. The portrayal of Jesus using his power in ways that might seem frivolous or retaliatory, as some stories in the Infancy Gospel of Thomas depict, could conflict with the image of Jesus presented in the canonical Gospels. The Church aimed to present a coherent and theologically sound portrayal of Jesus, focusing on his teachings, sacrificial death, and resurrection. Moreover, the miracle of the clay birds does not align neatly with the established themes and messages emphasized in the New Testament. The canonical Gospels underscore Jesus' obedience to the law, his respect for the Sabbath, and his fulfillment of prophecies. A story where Jesus is seen as potentially breaking Sabbath laws, even if to showcase his divine authority, might have been viewed as problematic by early church leaders seeking to avoid misunderstandings or accusations of promoting antinomianism, the belief that, under the gospel dispensation of grace, the moral law is of no use. Despite these reasons for exclusion, the miracle holds significant symbolic value. It offers a perspective on the early Christian imagination and how believers sought to understand and relate to Jesus' divinity from infancy. The story underscores themes of creation, the sanctity of life, and the manifestation of divine power in the world. It also reflects the human desire to fill in the gaps of Jesus' life, to envision how his divine nature might have been evident even as a child. The narrative invites contemplation on the mystery of the Incarnation, the belief that Jesus was both fully God and fully man. It poses intriguing questions about how his dual nature manifested throughout his life, not just during his public ministry. By bringing life to inanimate clay, the young Jesus in this story prefigures his role as the giver of spiritual life, a theme central to Christian theology. In comparing this miracle with those in the canonical Gospels, we see a consistent thread of Jesus exercising authority over the natural world. Turning water into wine at Cana, multiplying loaves and fishes, walking on water, each act demonstrates mastery over physical elements and serves as a sign pointing to his divine identity. The clay bird's miracle fits within this pattern, albeit from a different stage of his life and with a different tone. The story also resonates with cultural and religious motifs of the time. Creation from clay is a common theme in ancient Near Eastern mythology, and the ability to animate the inanimate is a hallmark of divine power. By incorporating such elements, the Infancy Gospel of Thomas connects Jesus to broader narratives of creation and divine intervention known to contemporary audiences. Understanding why this miracle was excluded from the canon involves acknowledging the early church's intent to establish doctrinal clarity and unity. The leaders aimed to provide texts that would guide the faithful in understanding the core tenets of Christianity without confusion or conflicting messages. Texts that could potentially introduce ambiguity or detract from the central focus on Jesus' redemptive work were set aside. Nevertheless, the miracle of the clay birds remains a fascinating aspect of Christian apocryphal literature. It enriches our appreciation of the diverse ways early Christians sought to express their faith and understand the person of Jesus. The story, while not part of the official canon, continues to inspire reflection on the nature of miracles, the mysteries of Jesus' life, and the ways in which divine power can be perceived and interpreted. By exploring such narratives, we gain a fuller picture of the historical and cultural contexts in which Christianity developed. We recognize that the formation of the biblical canon was a complex process influenced by theological, historical, and practical considerations. The apocryphal texts, including the Infancy Gospel of Thomas, offer valuable insights into the beliefs, questions, and imaginations of early Christian communities. In examining the miracle of the clay birds, we're invited to ponder the profound themes it touches upon: the interplay between humanity and divinity, the wonder of creation, and the manifestation of the divine in everyday life. These are timeless concepts that continue to resonate and inspire thoughtful contemplation. Reflecting on the impact of this fascinating miracle, we begin to see how such stories have permeated art and culture throughout the centuries. This and other apocryphal miracles have inspired countless artists, writers, and thinkers, contributing richly to the tapestry of Christian cultural heritage. From the illuminated manuscripts of the Middle Ages to the Renaissance masterpieces, the imagery of the young Jesus breathing life into clay birds has captured the imagination of many. In art, this miracle has been depicted in various forms: stained glass windows, frescoes, and sculptures, all aiming to portray the wonder of creation and the divine nature manifesting through a child. These artistic expressions not only serve as visual storytelling but also as theological reflections on the mysteries of faith. They invite viewers to ponder the dual nature of Jesus as both fully divine and fully human, a core tenet of Christian belief. Literature, too, has been enriched by such narratives. Writers and poets have drawn upon these stories to explore themes of innocence, creativity, and the innate connection between the divine and the mundane. The miracle of the clay birds becomes a metaphor for the potential within each individual to create, to inspire, and to bring about transformation. It echoes the idea that there is a spark of the divine in all acts of genuine creation and expression. This miracle also offers a profound spiritual perspective on the nature of Jesus. It reveals a side of him that is approachable and relatable, a child engaging in play, yet imbued with divine power. This portrayal encourages us to reflect more deeply on the mystery of the Incarnation. How did Jesus experience his divinity and humanity? How did those around him perceive these dual aspects? Such questions invite us to explore the depths of our own understanding of faith and the nature of the divine. By contemplating this miracle, we are reminded of the boundless possibilities that exist when the human and divine intersect. It challenges us to consider how we perceive miracles in our own lives, not just as grand, unexplainable events, but as moments where the extraordinary touches the ordinary. The story encourages a deeper appreciation for the sacredness present in everyday experiences and the potential for wonder in the simplest of actions. Moreover, this narrative can inspire us to embrace a childlike sense of awe and openness. In a world often weighed down by skepticism and cynicism, returning to a state of curiosity and imagination can rejuvenate our spiritual journey. The miracle prompts us to look at the world through fresh eyes, recognizing the beauty and mystery that surround us. In light of this, we encourage you to delve into the rich world of apocryphal texts. Exploring these writings can broaden your understanding of Christian history and the diverse ways in which Jesus' life and teachings have been interpreted. While not part of the official canon, these texts offer valuable insights into the early Christian communities, their struggles, hopes, and the theological questions they grappled with. Studying apocryphal texts doesn't mean abandoning traditional teachings, but rather enriching your perspective. It allows for a more nuanced appreciation of the faith's development over time and the various cultural and historical influences that have shaped it. Engaging with these writings can spark meaningful conversations and reflections, deepening your connection to the spiritual heritage of Christianity. As you embark on this exploration, keep in mind the message of unity that lies at the heart of Jesus' teachings. Regardless of which texts we read or which stories resonate with us, the essence of his message remains constant. Love, compassion, and faith are central to the Christian experience. These core principles transcend specific narratives and invite us to live out our faith in tangible, impactful ways. Love, as taught by Jesus, calls us to care for one another, to extend kindness beyond boundaries, and to see the divine in every person we encounter. Compassion urges us to empathize with others, to alleviate suffering, and to act justly. Faith encourages us to trust in something greater than ourselves, to find hope amid challenges, and to remain steadfast in our convictions. By focusing on these universal themes, we can bridge gaps between different interpretations and traditions within Christianity. They serve as common ground upon which believers can unite, fostering a sense of community and shared purpose. In a world often divided by differences, returning to these foundational teachings can guide us toward reconciliation and mutual understanding. In conclusion, the miracle of the clay birds and other apocryphal stories enrich our spiritual landscape. They offer additional layers of meaning and invite us to engage more deeply with the mysteries of faith. Whether through art, literature, or personal reflection, these narratives continue to inspire and challenge us. We invite you to carry forward the curiosity and openness sparked by this exploration. Seek out conversations, share insights, and embrace the diversity within the Christian tradition. By doing so, you'll not only deepen your own faith but also contribute to a more compassionate and united community. Remember, the journey of faith is continuous, filled with opportunities for growth and discovery. As you reflect on these stories and teachings, may you find inspiration to live out the principles of love, compassion, and faith in your daily life. These are the true miracles that have the power to transform the world, one act of kindness at a time. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the lesser-known facets of Christian history. May it encourage you to keep seeking, learning, and embracing the richness of the faith tradition that has touched countless lives throughout the ages.